Okay, on today's video, I'm going to talk about landing pages again, and how that actually can play in with your PPC campaigns. If you're running a PPC campaign right now and you're basically wondering, if you've watched my videos before already, you know how much a landing page can matter if you don't have the landing page, and if not, and you're thinking about doing landing pages or wanting to know more about them, you should definitely go and check those videos out as well. But this particular video just goes into, if you're using a landing page, basically how much will the landing page itself make up for a really crappy rest of your website, if you will. And what I mean by that is I can tell you firsthand, if you're in a lot of markets, you could have basically no website at all. A home page with maybe an About Us page, really crappy looking design, barely quite, passable as far as looks like a real business. Have an amazing landing page. You could be able to make millions of dollars a year through your Google ads. And so, but it's not in every case. Sometimes that landing page won't quite, do what you wanted to do and be able to make up for a website that you didn't spend 5 figures on, which, by the way, anymore, this isn't 2012 anymore. A website costs 5 figures if you're going to do it right anymore. If not, you're going to get the rest of most of the pages of your website are going to be a little bit of text. There's nothing fancy about it. Basically useless information, and because that's all they can afford to give you. So anyway, if you can't afford that, you can get by with the landing page, and probably with the landing page be good enough, still be profitable. What I'm going to talk about here is basically what you're losing out on. Even with that, you having the landing page, it's good. What you're missing out for people who go, what ultimately will happen is people get to your landing page and a certain percentage will leave to go to other parts of your website, whether or not you want them to or not. I'm going to talk about how much that will affect your PPC campaign profitability, and kind of what you can do about it, and for what type of business you have, how much it's going to affect you versus not affect you. Giving you some examples of other campaigns where we had landing pages, and then we noticed how we took note on how much the main site affected the campaign when we were also already using landing pages, exactly like what this topic of this video is referencing here. So anyway, as usual, I have a short list of things I'm going to cover here today about this particular concept or topic. First thing to mention is just what a landing page is really used for is to do the heavy lifting, but it can't do everything, okay? Landing page, inherently, the whole concept behind a landing page, or as people have oversimplified it over the years and it's become more popular to use landing pages, as I mentioned on my last video about landing pages itself as a topic, they're designed to keep the user on a page so they don't get distracted, because if a person leaves the page, even if it's still on your site, especially if it's not on your site, if they go check some other site for information, the more times that they do that, the less you're going to convert, as so is the thinking. And I'm going to tell you right here that I'm going to shatter that whole concept. What a landing page really is about is actually serving the user's needs that they have at that particular moment in time. It doesn't mean it's there to do everything for the user, nor should it. It really isn't. It could do a heck of a lot for you, but it can't a lot of times do everything. More than half of the time, it won't do everything for you. People will still go to another place, whether you like to or not, and whether or not you've designed that page to so-called, quote-unquote, keep the user on the page so you get the maximum conversion rates from your page. So anyway, subtopics around that, as I'm going to get in here next. People often venture off your landing page to, quote-unquote, check your company out. So basically was just I'll give an example of a pool, in-ground pool contractor who installs in-ground pools. You can call them up, get a pool put in your backyard. With that, so ultimately you're going to type in pool companies Denver, and you're going to find the ad, if you're me running my campaigns. You're going to get to a landing page that's set up there very, very well. What that landing page is supposed to do every time, and what you can declare every time what it's supposed to do, is tell the user as quickly as possible that you're in the right place, and we actually do what you actually need and came for in the first place, and know that you need because we're paying attention to what that you searched for before you got to this page. Otherwise, we would have sent you someplace else. And so what they call above the fold, so before you scroll, they should be able to see that key information up top before you scroll. That's conversion 101 when it comes to landing pages. So if you don't do that, you're just losing like 3/4 of your business and money spent on the ads. So anyway, on the page, other than that, in that particular case, the testimonials, the reviews, that type of stuff matters, because if you're going to hire a pool company, other than knowing that you serve my market and you definitely install pools and I want one, what is going to be the next thing that's going to determine whether or not I'm going to contact you? Does it look like you can do the job right? And so there's no other real way, at least in as quick and as concise of a package, as to post things like your Google reviews, Yelp reviews, that kind of stuff, which is the main thing. The second thing that I always focus on a page, and I just know that for other local services and many other services and also products, it's the same way. Because everybody knows inherently what a review is. If you put it in front of them, they don't have to explain anything. It's just, therefore, you're not making them think. If you make a person think too much or more than they have to, you'll start losing conversions. So anyway, they get to the page, they see all that stuff, then they want to call, because obviously they want to get a price and find out how much you charge and all that stuff. Talk to a salesperson, find out more in detail what you do versus not do. Now, in some instances, from what I've measured over 10 or so websites before making this video, between 10 and 40% of the people who reach your page, in this particular case, it's closer to the 20 to 40% range for that type of pool company I mentioned, that they'll go and they'll visit another page. Mainly because also as well, I provide other links out of the page, which most people would think that I'm a total idiot for doing that. But I know one of the things as well, what the user needs to be able to be convinced that my client's company can do what they're supposed to do, and you're not going to waste your time calling and then finding out and go through this huge sales process and be hounded by the salesperson forever when they couldn't even do a good job for me in the first place, and I want a good job done. So I want to go and check out other installs that were done. Maybe it's some places around the city that I've seen before. So quote unquote portfolio. I'll have a 4x4 grid of installation photos, and then a link to go to see the full portfolio, which has 100. The more the better. You can't have too many. Once you've got it on another page of your website and designated for that task, up front, you just give the general idea that you can get all that, and then let them click for more, which, by the way, on a landing page, that's what you do. Whatever extra expanded information this 10 to 40% of people want to know, you put it someplace else, and then you provide links. If you care, if you're the one, 10% of people who actually cares about this, here's where you go. If you are the 10% that cares about this but not this, this is where you go. And that's what you do. So, and you have to find out based upon, surveying your customer and just, I guess, figuring it out for yourself, for your exact market. What is the other stuff that people want to know? And you provide the links there. And so with that, it's not always the best practice to not have links to other parts of your site to let people check you out if they need to. They'll stay on your site. They'll be less likely to get distracted, but then they're also just less likely to contact you to begin with, because if they don't feel right about contacting you and spending 30 minutes on the phone, it's too easy to go to Google and just click on somebody else who they can find the proper information, such as a portfolio, such as an About Us page that talks about your company history. And so, anyway, as it comes to that, and wanting to make sure that the rest of your site does look ultimately okay, so you can get that 10 to 40% of people who do want to visit at least one other page, serve their needs, and so they feel right about it, so they will convert into a lead or a sale. For product companies, for the most part, you're closer to this 10% range. And what I'll do, depending on how much money there is in a particular product and the cost of the product itself, we'll do what is called a pre-lander. It's just basically a whole entire long-form sales page that talks about all the features and benefits and uses and then demonstrations of the product, so on and so forth, telling the user a story down that page. And then they get to the very bottom of the page, and then they click on a link to go to the actual e-commerce store's product page, which has limited information, but then pre-qualifies the user so that when you get to the actual page that the client normally has for that product, they're 3/4 sold before they get there. In that particular case, I don't have any links out most of the time. So that's a particular situation where the rest of the site, can be dog crap for the most part, except for the fact that the page you're taking them to where they're going to buy the product page. But if that was okay, the rest of the site could be dog crap, and you could probably do out pretty good. 10% of the sales or less would be all you would lose based upon that very few people left that would go and still go and get lost and go to another part of your website because they just feel compelled to for whatever reason. For a service provider though, like the pool company I talked about, people want to see portfolios almost all the time. Professional services, home services, it's all the same thing. They want to see your portfolio and install pictures before and after, that kind of stuff. If it's a product, you put all that stuff on the landing page itself for the most part. Because on a service page, if you put all that stuff on one page, the user, and I've tested this is how I know, they're overwhelmed. And so you want to keep it limited and you have a few links out. On a product page, you tell the user a story. They're more engaged, they're more willing to go and want to be fed information in that kind of format, as I found. But with that, let's say you did, and then on top of, for services specifically, if you offered a B2B consulting service where you offer payroll consulting, and there's different types of payroll consulting, and then the user just types in payroll consulting, and you'll obviously target other keywords than that for people who want specific types of payroll consulting. But the person who gets to the page, if you do not have enough resources right away to have a page for every type of payroll consulting, a landing page actually, then what you can do is you can then have a link that says to see more information about your particular type of payroll consulting needs, you can go to, send them to your main website that does have those other pages. Better to have a landing page separately that's designed for converting PPC traffic as well instead of those subpages on your site. But if you don't have it, for those ancillary services, then you would send them there. That's one thing that people I've noticed also want to know, because you can only talk about so much of the user's needs on a payroll services, consulting services page there, whereas people usually have a specific problem, and then therefore they can self-select ultimately what type of problem they have and then just take it directly to that page. They can read in detail about that particular consulting, then they can come back to your landing page and convert that way, or just convert. They'll go then to the contact us page, let's say, or whatever, or call the number at the top of the screen or at the footer. So that's one thing that comes up a lot when people, in that they have to go somewhere else in order to get them to convert at the maximum rate you can. The other, of course, is an About Us page. So believe it or not, the About Us page is the most popular page by traffic volume on the average website by far, by the way, except for the home page, which makes sense, right? Everybody kind of has one, but what that and to do it right, that should tell a person everything they need to know about your company, when it was founded, why you started, and why you're in business in this business, how you compare like in the market, what's your value proposition, how that value proposition is different, why you picked that, that kind of stuff, so that you sound passionate about being in business, and they feel like that passion makes them feel like they can trust you. So you should spend proper time on it, showing, of course, pictures of the outside of the building and inside of the building. That kind of stuff on that page really, really helps. And that and going back one step, just as a side note, on the service provider, if you're a service provider on that landing page, you have a picture somewhere on that page about showing either the inside or outside of your facility. My favorite is you have the building and then all your staff outside, and then a bird's eye, like a drone picture going down so they can see the entire staff that you have. More the better. It makes you look even more established. And the outside of your building with the logo up top. You put that on your landing page, and when they click on that, you take them to the About Us page. There's the winning combo right there. But so anyway, that's the kind of things that people do before they actually want to convert on a landing page. So a lot more so with service providers. You might have upwards of 40% who have to leave. And so that landing page, if it has everything on there on one page and you try to keep them there, it won't convert as well as having what most people need, and then links to the extra information that certain people will need but other people won't need, and then other people will need this information but they won't need this information, to get the maximum efficiency out of $1 of ad spend that you have. And so with that, you could, again, basically summing it up, you could have a crappy website and you might lose upwards of 10 to 40% based upon where you're at if you don't have a website with a darn, and you just totally ignored that, but you just had landing pages. So more so closer to 40%, on the 40% range for service providers, closer to the 10% range for product companies. And with the product companies, the more expensive the product, basically closer to the 10%, it might be actually to be for a product company, more like, I guess, let's say 5 to 15%. If you have a cheap product, you can sell that with a really crappy website most of the time, other than the fact that they want to see the rest of your website to make sure that they trust giving you their credit card. And if you have an expensive product, they will go on the rest of your site, just like with the service providers, to go to the About Us page, that kind of stuff, to make sure that they can trust who they're dealing with. So if they have to return it, they know they can return it. And just like the phone number, I mentioned on other videos, you'll lose 10% or more, 10 to 20%, maybe sometimes 30% even, I've seen, where if you don't have the telephone number on your website and you're thinking, oh, I'm saving so much money by not having this telephone number on my site, or it's so much trouble. Okay, well, you want the 30% of your sales to be just gone? Because it's not about having to serve the calls coming in. It's about seeing the number and feeling good inside that they are willing. They have phone customer service, and if I have a complaint, I don't have to complain through email, because nobody wants to do that. So that's another thing that they'll want to look for on the rest of the site and on their landing page for a product. Of course, they'll go on to the rest of the site to see a phone number, which is another thing that they're going to look for. So anyway, that you're going to leave, I have 10 to 40%, we'll say 5 to 40, just to update that a little bit. Sometimes for a product company, if you're not a particularly expensive product, you may be able to get by with only losing 5%. The rest of the website really just is awful. That said, so having the rest of your site look halfway legit is going to be able to get you a good chunk of the 40%. And having the appropriate, information that you could take, for instance, on the service company, taking a person to a page and having actual separate pages for each use case and letting people do that, and having a good About Us page and having a phone number. and having a portfolio before and after for even a product a lot of times and a service, you have all that stuff, then you're going to get the full 40% back. So there's half of it, let's say, that you're going to get from this 10 to 40% just from the site looking legitimately, looking like legitimate in terms of the design, a cheap design and a cheap logo also. I should say, everybody basically notices the logo when they get to the website, and they judge the logo quality as to the quality of company and the reputation and how much money and financing you have behind you, and then also the design. So some people just leave and they want to see that you have a great looking logo and the website looks great, and that might get you halfway on this. I don't know the exact spread, but it's something like half of the 10 to 40% of the people who do leave for this, just to check your credibility and so on and so forth, is going to be from the design of that logo and the design of the site. And then the rest of it is just having the proper information, going the extra mile, having the phone number, having a well-written About Us page, having the really good portfolio that has lots and lots of before and afters, not just one or two, but like dozens, and install photos, basically that kind of stuff, and pages for each use case that you have for if you're in the service business. And actually, if you do have a product, individual use cases for that product, if there is more than one, you individually would want also, just like a service company, a page for each use case. So when you get to the bottom of or in the middle of your pre-lander I mentioned before, if the user has use case XYZ, you let them self-select, and then there's a link to the individual page that covers their use case. They won't need all that information until they're already so far in the process mentally, and then so you would put that near towards the bottom of the page, but you would still have it in that case. But you're going to lose all your 10 to 40% if you falsely think people should never leave your landing page and try to do everything on that landing page. People don't like that. It doesn't work near as good. For a product page, you can get pretty much everything on that landing page, but like I said, if there's different use cases that are very different from each other, you want to send them to pages that explain each use case. And even with that, a lot of people are going to look at the main site, the design quality, the logo quality, is there a phone number? Also, some people will still want to see an About Us page, what you're about, and for services, it's kind of the same stuff as well. I'm not going to go over it again. I think I covered it pretty well in this video. That explains, in a nutshell, how good your rest of your website needs to be and how the things you need to have on it. If you have a landing page and how much that landing page can cover for a bad site, ultimately what you need to do to get the rest of the value out of the 10 to 40% that come to your landing page who want to leave and get more information, how to pick that up for yourself. If you like this video, I have a lot of other videos on this channel just like this. You can go ahead and check those out. PPC Strategies. I come out with a video roughly every day. Also, my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog. I have step-by-step PPC money-making strategies there that I personally use on my campaigns, in which I have to guarantee results for our clients. We have those there. If you have any questions about using landing pages and how that corresponds with the rest of your website, how they commingle with each other or interconnect kind of as a whole piece, if you will, is what I kind of got out of this video here, or tried to explain out of my video here, how it is. You can leave a comment down below. We'll get back to you on any questions or concerns you have about it that you feel I didn't cover on this video itself. But other than that, I hope that you got some value out of this and start to add a few things to your landing page, pointing to some new things on your site. Improve your rest of your site a little bit if you were neglecting it, and there's some quick, easy wins in there for you as well. And have a good result with what you have.